Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my! It's just another night for Supernatural Girlz. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Psychic medium Helene Olson and paranormal researcher Patricia Baker. Here are Supernatural Girlz.
Tonight is Saturday, April 27th, 2013, and we are delighted to be here. Myself, Helene Olson. You can find me at angelslighthouse.com. And my fabulous partner in crime, Patricia Baker. And I just want to say, Patricia, that everybody should go on over to supernaturalgirls.com and sign up for our fabulous newsletter, which I will add you do most of the work on, Patricia.
Well, thank you.
And that's one of the reasons why it's so fabulous. And yeah.
Well, thank you for giving me credit, and apologize for that coughing fit.
You deserve it.
Well, thanks. But we still have a lot of books to give away, actually, from Wildman over there. Rick sent us about 6 copies of different books he's written, and so if you are one of the lucky subscribers to get one of his books, I can tell you it will be a fascinating read. Anything from Rick is interesting, as you know, if you listened to the show last week. So please sign up.
Well, the thing is, too, is that they have to be on our subscribe list in order to win, right, Patricia?
Yeah.
So will we be picking winners over the next few weeks, or are we picking 6 winners this week?
We are going to pick 1 a week.
Awesome.
Yes.
It's really good. I like that, yeah.
Now, you've got an interesting class coming up. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
I do. And I'm really excited about it because I think it gives me an opportunity to work more closely with people. And so the class is limited to 4 participants. And that's the great thing about it, I think, that it also includes a 30-minute private reading for each participant so that I can see exactly where they're at and what they need to get out of the class. And then the class will meet 4 times, once a week for 4 weeks. And it's a 90-minute class that I will be recording, so they can also listen to the recording after the class. So
now,
that's
what
a great
magic
thing.
Are you working for people for this class? What is the focus?
Well, I think the focus is giving them information about spirituality and being psychic. But the biggest part of it is actually the energetic attunements that I'll be giving to each person. And these attunements come through me energetically, and they're given by angels and divine beings. And so it really does work to help people expand within whatever their system allows.
That's
and
wonderful.
I've heard a lot of great things from people about who receive these attunements to the crown and their third eye. That they are expanded in what they were getting for information, that they're trusting the information more and things like that. So it's a great thing for people who are trying to work with their intuition and understand how to manage it.
Well, it's great, and I can personally attest to your attunements. They're very powerful, so people are really going to get a benefit when they sign up for this class. That is
thank you, Patricia.
Sure.
Yeah. But I like the idea of the small group. That's what I'm excited about because I do have a bit of an overflow of people, so I will be starting other small groups. So it's not just one group of 4. It might be 2 or 3 or whatever, but I'll start them at different times, and it's really a great thing. Yeah, so I hope people go over to angelslighthouse.com and look under the upcoming events tab. It's also on the front page, on the home page there, and they can get all the details to it.
That is a plan.
Yep, it is. So that's great. So do you have some paranormal news tonight, Patricia?
We're talking with a great guest tonight, as everybody knows, and that's why they're all anxious for us to bring him on, Michael Chaplin, and we are talking about destiny. So tonight I wanted to just bring forward a little more information on something else that has to do with destiny, and that is the spear of destiny. There's been a lot of books written about it, and when I was reading up on all of this, actually I have a friend who did write a book about it, Bill Schul, and there's many others, but you know, a lot of them end up saying that this particular lance, the spear, ended up in a museum in Austria, and it was actually what Charlemagne had, and when he lost the spear, then he died, and then Hitler had the spear, and he was able to bend the world to his will, and then he lost the spear, and he died. So there's just a fascinating mythology around it. But when I went to look at the picture of the spear in the museum, what came to me was, this isn't the real spear.
I got that too. I didn't want to say it though, Patricia. Yeah.
See?
I didn't want to say it, but I looked. I know something about the spear because I've read about it over the years and so forth. And that picture, I mean, what is it?
I don't know. It's not the real thing.
No.
So it's interesting, though, because when I was doing a little more research on this, one of the authors, who is a medical doctor and a professor of medicine at Tulane, Louisiana State University, he wrote 2 books about the Spear of Destiny. And according to him, the spear was taken to Antarctica, which, you know where I've heard this before about the Nazis in Antarctica, is from the Wild Man.
That's something that's circled around and around.
He's apparently, the Wild Man has been there, and he did attest
Really?
Yes, and he attested to this fact that there was a whole big Nazi thing going on down there. So here's another tie-in with this Dr. Buchner basically saying that the Spear of Destiny was taken there, spirited out of Germany and taken there. So it's just, again, all of these mysterious objects, and do they really hold power, and a lot of unanswered questions, and if this is true, it is quite a formidable artifact. So,
well, I believe that objects can hold power. Sometimes, I mean, there are varying reasons for the power that they hold. For instance, any icon, any kind of thing, we'll just use the cross as an example. It's been prayed to, it's been revered, it's been something that people have held close to their heart, and so what happens is over time it builds up its own sort of energy.
Right.
But then there are other objects that have energy with them, be it a spirit, a connection to another world, whatever. And so they are kind of imbued with this magic sometimes.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Yes. So,
very interesting.
We are honored to have this guest on tonight, Michael Chaplin. So, should we bring him on?
Yeah, let's bring him on. And his new book is called A Fallen God. Is that correct?
It is, and I'm telling you what, it is a great book. I mean, a great book. This book is so well written. It is passionate. It is intriguing. It's just so well done. I mean, everybody should go out and read it. There's a lot of wisdom in this book also.
But you told me that it actually transported you.
Really did. I really felt like I was back in time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Michael's writing is so descriptive, and it just draws you right in. And it's funny because it's a page-turner. I mean, you want to find out what happens, but the way I felt when I was reading A Fallen God, it was like I was eating just a fine meal. You know how you're enjoying it, and you're savoring it, and you just don't want it to end. You want it to keep going. And
I hate it when it ends.
I know. And that's how I felt. So, Michael, you've got to get writing again. We want book 2. So, anyways, let's bring him on.
Michael Chaplin, you're live on the air. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Michael.
How are you tonight?
I'm very well. Well, it's 3 a.m. for me, but
oh my!
I'm feeling quite awake. I've just had a cup of coffee, so
good.
Thank you so much for staying up so late to talk with us and everybody in our audience about your wonderful book and about the subject of destiny. I was just saying to Helene how much I loved your book. Just a great book.
I'm very flattered. Thank you very much.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, and again, as I was saying, there's just you put so much into this book. It's remarkable. Now, you are a writer, and you are also an actor and a producer. All of these things. So you're quite talented, but this book is really remarkable. And oh my goodness!
First, Patricia, Michael, can you tell us where the best place is for people to buy the book right now? Is it Amazon or is it on a website of yours?
It's on Kindle on Amazon. The publisher of the book is called Metavisions, and it's on Kindle on Amazon.
Okay, so it's not in paperback or hardcover yet?
No, not yet. No, I'm looking forward to getting it out in paperback, but it's first come out on Amazon. Okay.
Well, great. So the name of it is A Fallen God. So if they just put that in the search on Amazon, they'll find it, right?
Yes, yeah. Michael John Chaplin, A Fallen God, Amazon.com, Kindle.
Okay, great.
Michael, what made you write a book about destiny?
Well, it's really personal experience. I came to realize that my own life had been touched by something at a certain moment. It wasn't a very happy moment for me, but in fact, it's turned my life upside down for a long time, and I had a very hard time trying to piece it together again until I began to realize that there really was some strange force that had suddenly come into me and into other people who were involved. And that's when I became interested in destiny. I think what I mean by destiny is when your life is drawn towards a certain destination by a mysterious force outside you. When you begin to get that feeling, then I think that's what destiny is. That you're not just drifting on a, like a rudderless boat on the ocean, but you're suddenly there's a direction, but not one you've necessarily chosen, and it may be go right against your aspirations and dreams and drag you somewhere you don't want to go, or it may be wonderful and take you exactly where you've always dreamt of going. But this is what I, from personal experience, interpret as destiny.
And when you came to this understanding of destiny after this difficult period in your life, did you feel that helped you?
Yes, it helped a lot because it's hard to say how, but I think that destiny is obviously it's always been linked with the stars, with the heavens, and at the same time, whatever it is from up there that's working on you, it's working on some mysterious part of yourself as well, so that you some part of you that you've been disconnected from suddenly becomes alive and manifests itself. And
so I would like to call that your higher self or your unconscious mind, right?
Yes.
And then you get this feeling that it's something that has to be, but you don't really know why. So do you feel like you found out the why of it?
Yes, I think you can. I think you can intuitively come to some kind of understanding why. I think it's really like going on to another level where you have to try and link it to mythology and to the cosmos, and try and bring that link into your life. And I don't know. It came to me why, and how I could move out of it as well, because I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to come out, but it gave me a way out. I think too that one of the mysteries also is why not everyone is struck by destiny. Why people live very regular lives, well integrated into their surroundings, and are not necessarily that eventful, but happy lives. But my conclusion is that we all have destinies. We all have it sleeping inside us, but it only happens that it's awakened by certain circumstances. And I think people who it happens more to people who are a bit lost or who are drifting. They are more open to destiny because they are less shut into a structure that tends to keep destiny from affecting them.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because it's a term that we don't really even mention so much in contemporary society. We don't even think about it all that much. And you're bringing this whole term back to us in a new way. And I like what you're doing with this because it does give a whole different perspective. As you mentioned in that beautiful quote you wrote about having it coming from the heavens, that it's powerful, and the way it touches you and moves you and makes you do things, like you said, you wouldn't necessarily choose.
Yes.
Now, in the course of all these years where you were searching your soul and attending to destiny and attending to certain messages and feelings you were getting, did you actually practice any spiritual thing like meditation or consulting with gurus or anything like that?
Well, I was living very isolated on a farm with my wife and children, but I did try to do meditation to just try and harmonize myself, because I was so out of harmony really with myself. But I found it helped, but it didn't really take me anywhere. It just tended to calm me down, which was already very nice. But it's only once I think something changed when at some point I had to ask why this was happening to me, and I didn't know who to ask. I've never belonged to any religious denomination, or I was brought up by parents who were basically atheists. Well, my father wasn't; he was more an agnostic. My mother certainly wasn't, and so I had no real. Though I went to a Catholic school for a while, but I had no real strong image of God that I could turn to and pray or ask why has this happened. So finally, I just thought, well, life, I'll ask life why it's happening to me, and life seems something quite close, and it seemed something that I could actually talk to. So I did, and I think after that I started having very strong dreams, very powerful dreams, with very colorful dreams. Very strange things happened. Very strange coincidences started happening, and
well, that's because you asked, Michael.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you have to ask. You have to open yourself to. I mean, I was never a very spiritual person or someone who believed in the paranormal, or until strange things really did happen to me, and which were not hallucinations. They seemed very real and very coincidences, things that started to activate my life. I really felt it was moving. And then I turned to books to try and understand. I read an interview by Joseph Campbell where he says you have to try and understand the hidden forces that are informing your life, and that really spoke to me. And then I started reading Jung, and he was very helpful. I mean, he talks about you discover the myth that your life is attached to, and that meant a lot. And so it was really from reading, yes, that I began to see that that's what brought me to the idea of destiny.
Mm-hmm. So
I
it's
could
the archetype.
feel it. I mean, I'd lived it. I really felt I'd lived something strange. So.
Well, so you're talking about how the archetype and the mythology helped to put perspective, a whole different perspective on what you had been through in your life, and how to, like you talk about, finding your way out. So it sounds like you felt somewhat trapped.
Completely trapped, completely imprisoned in my own anger and jealousy, and I just couldn't find a way out of it. It seemed to be impossible to move out until these dreams, and I felt that there was a hidden force that, and the idea of destiny, and being able to place it on another plane, on a mythological plane, on a metaphysical plane.
And what you're talking about too is so profound for all of us today, who find ourselves in situations we don't like and may be painful to us. And I really have to congratulate you and acknowledge you in a lot of ways, because you grew up in a time when things were a certain way, and you weren't supposed to deviate from that. So there wasn't a lot of freedom of expression in the time that you were growing up, and yet here you were. You somehow made a decision. This was not the way it was going to be. You were going to find your way out of these feelings, and you were going to go inward to find the answer. And that's very unusual, and it also takes a lot of courage. I got to give you credit.
Well, yes. Well, I think you do things when you are desperate. You you find courage. I'm not a particularly courageous person, but when you're desperate enough, you're willing to go places, and you're willing to open yourself to all sorts of things, I think.
Well, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit here. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. Because there are a lot of people who find themselves in painful situations, and they strike out, and they hurt other people, and you read about it in the news all the time. And it's a sad situation. They're acting like a bunch of cavemen and women, not like real human beings. And what I'm saying is that for you, you are a shining example of what you can do with your own personal growth and your own personal path when you take responsibility. You look inside, and you also look to the heavens, and you found answers in a whole new way.
Yes, well, we are living at a wonderful moment, really, in time where everything is accessible. I mean, I did grow up in the 50s where you couldn't ask certain questions to your parents, and life was very regimented, especially for a child.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's true. Yeah.
when I was 17, 18, suddenly the 60s hit with a big bang, and that changed a lot of things. But I think if you want to go out and find information, it's there. There's great minds who've written great books that are accessible. If you only have to go there and read and try and find out. I think you should even, however bad things are, you should be curious to find out why things are that bad, and how you can get out of it. And you should always keep that little bit of curiosity because it's the only way I think you can move out, unless short of a miracle.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us one of the strange experiences that is most memorable to you, Michael?
Well, I around about that time, I had a very close friend who died when I was really having these dreams, and he committed suicide.
Oh no!
Yeah, he hung himself. It was rather, and it was it was a shock to everyone, to his family and everyone, and I went to his funeral, and coming out, there was a woman who had known him for a very long time, and we were walking towards the graveyard, and I said, well, what was he like when he was young? Because I hadn't known him that long. And she said, well, he had very, very black hair, which is extraordinary because his hair had become so white now. But his hair then was black, and she was trying to find a word to describe it. And then some other people came up, and that conversation finished. And so we left. He was buried, and we all went our own ways. And I went to the town nearby Lausanne, where my son was. I took him there. He was doing martial arts, kickboxing, and I waited for him. I took him there and waited in a cafe. But I was feeling very, very tormented and restless because of this death. So I walked up into a bookstore, and quite automatically, just to pull the book out of the shelf, and it was Alexis Zorba by Nikos Kazantzakis, which made a very famous film, Zorba the Greek.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And so I opened it. I just opened it, and on the first page, I opened it in the middle. And on the first page, he says, well, it's one of the people talking, Zorba. He says, he's saying to his partner, we better get rich quickly because soon we will be old. And our life, and if you're not rich, being old is terrible. We'll have to look after our grandchildren, change their nappies, be bossed around by our stepdaughters, and he says, look at me. My hair now is white, but when I was young, my hair was black, as black as a crow.
Wow. There's the word. Yeah. Wow.
So I was absolutely stunned, and I shut the book and then went to buy it and paid for it. And then she put the ticket in the book, and I went out. And the ticket was exactly at that page, 168, with that same description.
Oh, my.
And he said, if we don't get rich, it's better that we be devoured by wild animals. And I think it very much explained, I think my friend really couldn't, he was ill and he was getting old and he couldn't stand, being not being the man he used to be, and that's why he took his life. But there was a series, it just went on. Some strange things happened in that way.
Yeah, well, there aren't any coincidences most of the time, right? That was a clear message to you, Michael.
Yes, you think something or someone is talking to you. You have to pay attention. It draws you to realize that there's something more to what you're experiencing than what's visible.
It's true. Well, I think it's time to take a break, Patricia. What do you think?
All right. Let's have everybody please stay tuned. And if you have a question for Michael, or if you'd like to know your destiny card, both Helene and I have our decks of cards sitting here for callers that want to have a little bit of insight from each of us about their destiny. The number to call is 646-478-0828. Stay tuned.
property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Sometimes life can be a challenge. Would you like insight and guidance to help you make the best choices right now? Contact Helene at angelslighthouse.com to make your personal appointment for a psychic reading or energy alignment. Helene is a direct channel to the angelic realm and is remarkably capable of connecting to the living as well as to your loved ones on the other side. Helene is available to clients all over the world via phone or Skype, and it's simple to set up a group reading anywhere. Visit angelslighthouse.com, where you'll find an easy way to schedule right online. And while you're there, sign up for the Angels Lighthouse newsletter and receive information on all the free energy circles, giveaways, and jewelry with a message. Visit angelslighthouse.com and contact Helene today.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for staying tuned to this fascinating show with Michael Chaplin, author of his new book, A Fallen God, which you can find on Kindle. You can access that through Amazon.com, and it is a wonderful, wonderful book. So, Michael, through all of these experiences and sort of coincidences that you were receiving all the time, really, how long did it take you to get through all that to finally make your way through the epiphany to actually find your own destiny?
Well, I think I did a lot of reading for about 5 years, trying to find out more, and then finally I decided I should write my story down, but in a way I didn't. I didn't really want to write a confession or I thought it might be quite boring anyway.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to make it into a story, and strangely enough, I'd been contacted by Wagner's great-grandson, Godfrey Wagner, who was doing he's quite an extraordinary man. He's written a lot about his family and their very their links, which they tried to cover up their whole links with Hitler and the Third Reich, especially his grandmother, and Hitler coming to the Wagner estate, and so he's not really well loved in Germany, but at the same time he also gave a lot of conferences to Jewish organizations, and he was going to one particular meeting in Schwerin, where they were going to play music of certain people who died in concentration camps, certain composers, he had young German students play their music, and it was a very moving moment. And he asked me to make a speech about The Great Dictator, which was one of my father's films, to try and introduce the film. And there was a showing of The Great Dictator. And afterwards, he was walking. We were walking home, and he said to me, I wish my great-grandfather had written less of that heavy Germanic mythological operas and done more works like Tristan and Isolde. And I suddenly saw it. As he said that, I saw that what I wanted to write fitted exactly into that myth. That there was a myth, there was a story that
So what you're saying is that it had to be that way, is what you're saying, that there was a destiny even to the works of these compositions that were done by his great-grandfather. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, just that he brought it up in the conversation because his Wagner wrote Tristan and Isolde as an opera, but it's an old it's a very old Celtic story that was then novelized in the 12th century and then taken up by Wagner much later. Mm-hmm. But just the mention, I didn't know much about the actual story, but I knew enough to realize that it fitted perfectly into it was a skeleton of the story I wanted to tell, and that
so his message to you, his message to you resonated so strongly with you that this was what you were supposed to do, right?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so from there I started writing. But I really wrote the book to try and find more about what had happened, how to explain it, how I could put it into words. So it was really it took me 8 years to write. It was really an exercise in and I tried writing before. I mean, I published a book when I was very young, which I'm not at all proud of, which was co-written with a journalist, and I attempted a few times. I always wanted to write, but I never really had, the sad truth was I never really had that much to write about until, life kind of struck on me and put me through something that was real. And so I fitted the story into that myth. And and I think that was a great help, because I was able to detach myself from it and place it in the 12th century, and also use the occult, because in the 12th century the occult was part of life. It was not. It was part of people's lives to believe in spirits, and despite the Christian dogma, which kind of tried to sweep all that away, but it was very much still alive in people's imagination, spirits and strange happenings, and so it gave me a lot of freedom, I think, also. Putting it at that time.
It also struck me with the book, in the story that you were writing, it was about, to me anyways, and you can tell me what you think, but certainly it's your story, but it felt like it's a lot about being chosen and not being chosen. And both of them have their problems. So
yes.
It was an interesting going back and forth in the story. I don't want to give the story away because there's just so many twists and turns here, but it was just a remarkable exercise. And when you're chosen, everybody thinks if you're being chosen that it's something great. Well, not necessarily. And then people think if you're not chosen, it's terrible, but not necessarily. So you gave a lot of perspective on both sides of that coin.
Yes, well, I think mostly, certainly, myself, I always dreamt of having a very peaceful, serene life. At least once I was married and had children, and I went out into the country because I love nature, and I visualized something completely different from what my life became. So yes, it is. But I think yes, it's being chosen, but it remains a mystery. What's exactly what's choosing you? How to? But certainly you feel that forces have been released and have come down on you. Perhaps just because you were born at a certain moment in time, and the planets were situated in a certain way at that moment. It maybe is something as simple as that, but definitely there is a feeling that some strange force has picked on you.
Yeah,
we all feel that way sometimes, Michael. You know.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you came
we have
from
a caller. Oh,
yes,
sorry,
we do.
Tricia.
No, go ahead. You want to take Renee on the phone?
Yeah, we have Renee from Colorado, and would like to welcome her. Is that okay with you, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Renee, you're live on the air. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for
Renee.
this wonderful talk. It's really, really enlightening. I love it. And I guess my question is, with trying to co-create and help our destiny, where we try to do the good things and right things, and sometimes we just totally blow it. So does this just take us like off course, off path, or how do we stay on track or know how to stay on track?
Well, that's. I think what happens is with destiny is that though you are being manipulated from outside, that's how you feel it. What is being influenced is some hidden part of yourself that you are not in touch with, and I think that ultimately it's coming into touch with we think we want this, we think our dreams are this, we think this is what we should do with our life, but there is another part of us that's a hidden part of us that I think is really the more essential part of who we are that may not agree, and so we have to try and listen to that, and that often speaks to you in dreams and in strange ways. But I think if you just have to open yourself to step outside of yourself, of who you think you are, and accept that maybe you're also someone else, and that your life also should be different. Maybe not something you necessarily want, but you have to just try and open yourself. And I think that can lead you to some surprising discoveries.
Oh, and like going with the flow, maybe.
Going with the flow, yes, and listening to things that happen, listening to your dreams and to things that happen to you. Try and see that sometimes there are strange coincidences that take place, and I think the more you open yourself to that, the more that will happen.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, it's a great question and a great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever really blow it, though. I think that things happen for a reason often, and sometimes it's simply because we need to learn something about ourselves, right, Michael?
Yes.
So we have to kind of look at it a little bit like a lesson or some situation that we need to learn from. Have you found that for yourself, Michael?
Yes, I think it is very hard. I think suffering is is a positive thing, because I think we learn through suffering, but when you are suffering, you just want not to suffer. You don't want to really. You don't want to really accept that maybe this is some kind of lesson. There's some kind of lesson there, because you're in pain and you don't want the pain, and you want to, and you're, it's like you're in drowning and you're trying to keep afloat.
That's true.
That's a good analogy.
And so
it is.
So sometimes it's very difficult in that situation but I think if you hold on, and somewhere in your mind you're open to the idea that maybe this means something. This means something positive, or could mean something positive. Then maybe it happens very slowly. In my experience, I can only speak from my own experience.
Well, I like what you said about signs. And I'll tell you a funny story. I was talking to a woman, a year or two ago, and she said that the only way that she would believe that there was a sign from her beloved and departed mother is if her favorite candy bar appeared on her kitchen table. And to me, that wasn't really someone who was in tune with the signs that you're talking about.
No,
that there might have been a lot of things.
That.
There might have been a lot of little things that showed her that her mother still loved her and was sending her some kind of message or energy.
Exactly. Yeah,
that she wasn't really opening to. The only thing she was looking at is every morning getting up to see if the candy bar was on the table.
Yes, that's being so locked in yourself. But I think that's the problem. I think in Indian philosophy, which I don't know much about, but through reading the Bhagavad Gita, they talk of the three aspects of life: the stula, the seksuma, I think, and the para, which are the stula is personal, the way you live your life personally, and the seksuma is just standing outside of leaving the personal, going into the transpersonal, and the para is the metaphysical. So, if you're just living in the personal, you cannot really learn from what's happening to you, because you're really locked inside it. So, wanting, your favorite candy bar to be on the table, it means you're locked in your own personal needs and desires, and you can't be open to something. But there are those three aspects that are there, but you simply have to open yourself to them.
Well, it's interesting what you're talking about, too, just in terms of our lives today, which here in the United States, everything's go, 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 and busy every second, and it just seems like a lot of it's meaningless activity, and people are just trying to get through the day, and it seems to have lost a lot of understanding or whatever you want to call it, the perspective from above. So that's why I think your book is so important, because it gives people a whole different perspective. It helps to take people out of that personal lock-in that we get into. And you have a beautiful passage. May I read it from the beginning of your book? Is that all right with you?
Please do, yeah. Yes,
oh,
absolutely.
My God, I love what you wrote. It is so profound. So I should probably have you read it, but it's sitting here in front of me, so I'll read it. Do you know what Simon de Montfort said to me when we first met? He asked, "So, are you the king without a kingdom?" I thought at the time that he was simply trying to belittle me, but now I realize how right he was. For I have learned that the real kingdom of a man is something hidden inside him that speaks to him through the beating of his heart. And when you hear that voice, you understand that all those other voices speaking to you through your injured vanity and pride all come out of the mouths of ghosts. I love that, Michael. It's just so profound, and it's so true.
Oh, thank you. Well, you read it beautifully. I'm very bad at reading.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for letting me read your book. I mean, it was this passage just stopped me in my tracks, and I really got how inspired this book is, and I just can't recommend it highly enough to everybody in our audience. This is a great read, and it's more than a story. This is an archetype. This is the overview, and it applies to everybody. I think that we can all relate on some level to the characters in this book and their struggles and triumphs.
Well, thank you very much for saying that.
Yeah, this is quite something that you've created. And you came from a very celebrated family, which I would imagine had its own trials and tribulations attached to it.
Yes, certainly. It had its great advantages and its setbacks, definitely. And well, I left home quite early. I left home at 16 and went to London and tried to in a sense get away from being part of a celebrated family, especially having such a famous father, which was, I suppose, was a burden. Not so much for my sisters, but I think for me, I felt it as a burden, and I tried to move away, and that's why I left home and left school.
So young.
I went to London. It was quite young, yeah.
That is young, 16. Yeah, and you went to a different country. You didn't just go around the block. That's quite adventurous of you.
Yeah, it was. It was a great adventure. Yeah. I did a lot of silly things and made a lot of mistakes, but
but they were yours.
Yeah, yes, they were mine.
Well, and your mother was famous also, correct?
Well, my mother's father, Eugene O'Neill, the playwright. He's
okay.
So on both sides, there's a strong link to on my father's side to music hall, and then the cinema, and on my mother's side to the theater.
Mm. That's just, it is a challenging background, I think. People don't realize what a challenge it is when you have a famous father, a famous mother, a famous grandfather. I would think that there is a lot of pressure and you feel like there are a lot of eyes on you. Is that how it felt?
Yes, well, certainly, I was a confused child. I didn't get along that well with my father. He was a very loving father, but he was also very severe. He'd grown up in the streets. He'd grown up in extreme misery himself, and he wanted his children to be educated and to work hard at school, and because I think he knew what it was to have nothing, so he tried to instill that into us. But of course, we were born in luxury and took everything for granted, and so there was a kind of, it was difficult for him and it was difficult for us. But he was at a certain point. Yes, I had to try and get away. Now looking back, I think I could have been more of a son. I always thought, well, he wasn't really much of a father, but as you grow older and you have children of your own and everything, I see that I could have been more of a son too.
Really? Yeah. It's 20/20 hindsight on all this, and it's when you're in the middle of it, and it just feels so dramatic, and it is. There's a lot of drama flying around, and again, with so many eyes watching you, I would imagine. Did you feel like you had any privacy being in that family or not, from the outside world looking in? Well, we lived quite a secluded life. In Switzerland he was more or less left alone.
But it was going on journeys. We went to Japan. We went to other places where it was really quite overwhelming, the amount of journalists and attention and crowds that he could draw, and that was quite striking. And yes, but once I left home, I went to London, and then I went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. I did an audition and managed to get in there, and then realized that I was much too young to be in there, and I didn't have really the passion to be an actor. I kind of drifted in there because I had that background, and suddenly I realized it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I left, but then suddenly the 60s happened, and the hippie movement in San Francisco, the rock and roll movement in England with the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and all the others who followed behind them, and suddenly London was just one big party, and then being a dropout, Timothy Leary's words is turn on, tune in, and drop out. Well, that resonated in my ears very, very strongly.
Very attractive to you then.
Resonated with a lot of people. That's why it was such a big movement, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. But it saved me. It saved me from feeling the pressure of having to do something. People were dropping out of university. It was a crazy time, a dangerous time and a crazy time, but also a wonderful time.
And how many years did you spend there in London?
I think I was in London for about 12 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. You were there for a while.
And then I met my second wife, and we began to travel, going to Morocco. We lived in south of Spain. We went to Trinidad, where she's from, and lived there for a while. But I did, as I say, destiny often strikes people who are a bit lost and not tightly inserted into a reality of their own making, where that tends to close you to all these things. Though I'm not talking against it. I have the greatest respect for anyone who goes and does a job and suffers all the traffic jams going to work and the problems of trying to pay the bills, and all this is heroic in itself. But I think that keeps you trapped in your own personal reality as well, because you're living under that pressure all the time. Whereas if you're a bit lost and can't quite fit in there, then you're open to these forces which can come down and move into you. That's my own personal feeling. I don't know if that might be quite wrong, but that's the way I've felt it.
Well, I think that it's a true vision, and I like what you're saying. It also reminds me of some of our more contemporary films like The Matrix, where it talks about how we're plugged in to see reality a certain way. If you unplug from that, that's where you get your freedom. And I think that's also what you're talking about, is you did feel trapped, and you wanted your freedom, and so you looked outside of your personal pain, and you found it. You found your freedom, and you took your life back. You reclaimed your life.
Yeah, and I really think that it doesn't matter which place you're coming from. Anybody is able to do this if they want to open and pay attention.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. We all have these opportunities to step outside of the mundane and the senseless and ridiculous activities that we get caught up in doing almost robotically every day. And I agree with you. There's a lot to be said for anybody who holds down a job, supports their family, takes care of their sick kids, whatever. There's a certain amount of that it is just how it is, and like you said, there's a certain amount that's very important about that. But then there is a place where we have a way a way out and a way of looking at all of this very differently. And again, I have to keep congratulating you because of the way this happened for you. You could have made other choices. You could have struck out and you could have done other things that were damaging in some way, but you really tried to find the best way, and I think you found it.
Yes, well, I think also, I was lucky. I think if you, I think a very important thing is in any situation is if you love someone and and if you have that experience of love, then it does. If you're on your own and you don't have, you're isolated within yourself, you're much more likely to sink. But if you have, even if that love is unreasonable and even violent or I don't mean violent in the way of doing violence to someone, but violent to yourself and a great storm. Still, if you've loved, you have a much better chance of getting out of whatever situation you're in, whatever trouble you're in.
So you think that love is a power that can bring you into your destiny?
Yes, definitely. I think when you love, you are in a way already in a destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the troubadours always said that it comes in the eyes. Seeing another person, the eyes are the scouts of the heart, and when you see another person and that something happens, that this person is part of your destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. I think love is strong. Is linked to destiny. Yes.
So it's almost like the doorway. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Celine.
Go fascinating. Ahead. It's really fascinating because, it's often said that love is the most powerful energy in the universe, and I really, truly believe that. And so you're, like Patricia just said, seeing love is a doorway for an opening for your own heart and your own higher self, really.
Yes, yes. As long as you keep on loving something or someone, you're never completely sunk or you're never completely finished. That is something there you can always hold on to.
That's a nice thing to say. Yeah, I like that.
That's very nice. Well, thank you, Michael. We're going to take this opportunity to take another break for a few short minutes. I hope that you all stay tuned.
If you have a
more
question,
of this fascinating discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Patricia. If you have
Patricia.
a question for Michael, or if you'd like to know what your destiny card is, then call at 646-478-0828. Again, that's 646-478-0828. Stay tuned.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Sometimes life can be a challenge. Would you like insight and guidance to help you make the best choices right now? Contact Helene at angelslighthouse.com to make your personal appointment for a psychic reading or energy alignment. Helene is a direct channel to the angelic realm and is remarkably capable of connecting to the living as well as to your loved ones on the other side. Helene is available to clients all over the world via phone or Skype, and it's simple to set up a group reading anywhere. Visit angelslighthouse.com, where you'll find an easy way to schedule right online. And while you're there, sign up for the Angels Lighthouse newsletter and receive information on all the free energy circles, giveaways, and jewelry with a message. Visit angelslighthouse.com and contact Helene today.
Welcome back, everybody. So, let's see. Let me get our guest back on the line. Here he is, and there's Helene.
Sorry, Patricia.
That's
was a little
okay.
glitch.
I was just like, what happened to Helene?
I know, and I'm sorry. And what I was saying is that...
Oh, my God, I was here by myself, and it was scary.
I'm talking and nobody's hearing me. So anyway, what I was saying was we're returning to this fascinating discussion with Michael Chaplin, where people can find his book at Amazon.com. It is a Kindle download, and the name of the book is A Fallen God. People can call in at 646-478-0828, but Patricia, I wanted to talk to you for a moment because I'm having a little bit of trouble with sort of an echo on the line, and we know that Blog Talk is having trouble this past couple weeks, right?
Oh, yes, they are indeed having difficulties, so apologies to everybody in advance. But actually, yeah, I do hear the echo, but you know what? I'm glad I'm hearing you and Michael and our callers. So
right.
That's all good. That's the good part of it.
It is. It's great.
And it's a wonderful discussion. I just love what Michael has brought to us. Thank you, Michael. This is just a wonderful topic. It's very enlivening, and it's very expansive. There is just so much to the word destiny and what it means.
So can we take the next caller now?
Yeah, go ahead. Who's got Tony?
We have Tony from Texas. And
right.
Tony, you're live on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm lucky.
Hi, Tony.
What was your...
Hi, hello.
Hi, what's your question tonight, Tony?
Well, like I was telling her that the headline caught my attention, so I logged in. What is your destiny? So I guess I wanted to know, what I have in the near future as far as the relationship, marriage, or anything.
Well, we're not doing psychic readings tonight, Tony, but what we are doing is pulling a card for you. So,
okay,
Patricia, are you going to pull a card also?
Let's both pull a card for Tony.
All right.
And give me good news. Just kidding.
This is good news. Okay. One of the things that is really important for you, and this is an interesting and powerful card, is the seer. And this card, I'm using the Voyager deck, which is a beautiful deck that I've used for many, many years, and it's also called the Sage of Wands. And in this, you do have a sense about vision for the future. And your task at hand is to really trust your intuition about it. So when you have these thoughts about what's coming up or a direction to take in your life, what I'm seeing is you don't quite trust it, but it would be a good exercise for you to begin to learn to trust your intuition. Your vision is clear. It's a good thing.
Well, that's really fascinating, Patricia, because I got a card that sort of goes hand in hand with that, which is, and I am using the Rider-Waite deck, and I got the Justice card. And so, Tony, I would have to say that when you feel wronged, you just want to make it entirely right, and it sort of gets under your skin, and then you're sort of on a mission. And
oh my God, yes.
the idea around that is to use this feeling of justice, of righteousness that you're always feeling, but then use it in connection with that true intuition that Patricia was just talking about, because there are other ways to right the wrong, even if it's simply a thought process inside yourself. And I think sometimes you kind of get hung up on the whats and whys and wheres rather than looking a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you, Tony?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. Trust yourself, Tony.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up that card. Just today, I was at work, and there was just a lot of stuff going on at work. And I feel like there's just so much injustice going on.
Yeah.
And I want to make justice, like you stated. I want to make the wrongs right, but it's impossible. It's only one of me and all of them.
Well, it is sometimes impossible, but what you can do to make the wrongs right is in clear connection with what Michael Chaplin's talking about tonight, which is going inside yourself, and how do you make it more right for Tony, and what can you let go of, and what can you move into to help illuminate your destiny and to help yourself get ahead, And when you do that, when you take that kind of a stand, other people see you making a clear choice, and that energy goes over to them and helps them open their minds as well.
Yeah, because I'm not happy, and like she's starting to make a choice, and I need to trust my choice, and I'm always questioning it. Mm-hmm. And me personally, I feel like I want to move somewhere because I don't see. I'm in Texas, in a small town. Mm-hmm. And I just don't feel it anymore. Like I feel like there's more out there than just that small town that I live.
Well, there's a way to there's all kinds of ways that we can get information about things that resonate with us. There are other people that you can connect to move out of that town and go somewhere where it's a little bigger for you or where you'll have more choices. And we thank you so very much for the call tonight and for listening to the show, Tony.
Thank you very much for all the feedback. Thank you very much.
Good luck, Tony.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Well, picking two cards is interesting, huh?
It's fun. I really like that. That's kind of a fun way to give people some more things to think about.
Yeah, that was fun. But, Michael, I think that people have so many challenges today, and it doesn't matter what station of life you're in, whether you have financial assets or whether you don't. It's challenging on every level.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great challenge.
Now, do you feel that since you had the struggles you had with your father, what about you with your children? Did you feel that in some ways you were able to make better choices?
Well, with children, I think you never, one wants to be perfect and to make the perfect choices and for them to have the perfect environment but of course, life isn't like that, and you do your best. And again, I think you have to, if you love your children, it helps a lot. My father, he did love us, and so did my mother. And I think, even though they were, especially my father, had a lot of difficulty with him, but I think that's helps enormously. If you feel loved, the child has to feel loved. If he doesn't feel loved, then I think he can drift, and he can drift off into many places, and drugs. There's so many dangers out there that I think, again, love is probably one of the one of the greatest weapons against all that. But no, I think my children have had some have had. I had 2 sons from the first marriage, and it only lasted 2 years, and I wasn't a very. I don't think I had any kind of sense of responsibility at that age. I was just going, trying to find something that wasn't there, and so that left a big. I think they suffered a lot through that, through my leaving. Like, we kept in touch. I've remained close friend with my first wife, but they didn't have that, the family they could have had, and they suffered from it. So later on I tried to catch up, and once I was settled down in the farm, and I was I had a bit of stability in my life, they profited from that, and but they went through a lot of they went through a lot, and luckily now they've got children of their own. It goes on from one generation to the next.
So hopefully they're even more understanding now that they're going through this themselves, right?
Yes. I think the parents in the 50s were too controlling over their children, and then the generation that came after my generation, my children say, well, you never told us not to do that. You never, because we had a very open and let them run free, really, which doesn't work either. And then they blame me for saying, well, you didn't. You should have stopped
too much freedom. Oh, that's funny.
So. And now they've got children, and I don't know what those. I don't know what that will be, but it's true. It does.
I think you bond most with your children when they have their own children.
Yes, yes. I think you come to understand your parents a bit better when you have children of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a job that is like no other, and I think that's absolutely true. It does allow you more insight when you have your own.
So there's an old European curse that comes from ages back that says, you say to your child when they're misbehaving, I hope you have 12 like yourself, right?
Oh my God, say that to me. That's why I don't have any.
And we don't really mean it when we say it, but there's a kernel of truth there somewhere. But, it all comes around to the same thing, that they start to live the experience, and so you get a little closer to your own children because of it, because they do come to an understanding the way you did with your dad, And, yeah.
And also, Michael, you said that, if I'm just curious, if there was anything that you could say to your father today, if you could talk to him, what would it be?
Oh, dear. Yes, well, that's hard because so much was not said between us. There was very little dialogue in the end. I fell out with him on so many occasions, and I mean he's a man who really reacted with his heart, and he would not want to see me and not want to speak to me, and then time would go by, and then I would always get invited back, and he didn't really want to be he didn't want to be at odds or not talking to his children, and he had difficulty with all his children. But well, what would I want to say to him? I suppose there's a lot, that I'd like to say to him, but he's not there. he's gone somewhere else, and I think that too is I think there's a lot that wasn't said, but that's just my story. I don't, I think you have to learn to live with it, and I don't think it's good to have those kind of regrets. I think he's gone wherever he's gone, and he's had a wonderful life. He had an extraordinary life, and he was he fought very hard to get where he was. He battled to make a life for himself, and he did, and he managed, and so he had a fantastic life. So I'm happy for him.
That's wonderful.
That's really,
right there is the message. The place where you say I'm happy for him. He fought to get what he got, and then he had a wonderful life. That's a beautiful message right there.
Yes, yeah.
Now, somebody wrote, let's see, we've got a couple of questions coming in from the chat room all of a sudden, and, let's see, one of them is about, it says, can you speak to the gypsy heritage, and the gypsies being out of Egypt and the followers of Sara-Tamar?
Yes. Well, when my father died, my mother stayed on living in the family house. He had a big family house in Switzerland, and she stayed on there, and at a certain point, I think it was getting very oppressive for her. She redecorated a lot of the house, but she left his bedroom as it was, and didn't touch anything there. And then once my mother died, we all had to share out or choose things we liked in the house that we wanted to keep. And he had 8 children, so it was everyone chose things that they wanted they would like to have. And my sister chose a cupboard with drawers that was in his bedroom. And one of the drawers had a lock on it, and she couldn't find the key, so she got a locksmith, and he came and he opened the drawer. And in the drawer there was just one letter, and so she opened the letter, and it was from a man called Jack Hill, who lived in Smithick, which is outside Birmingham in the Midlands in England. And he said in the letter, he says to my father, I've read your autobiography. He wrote it after he'd published his autobiography. And he said, you're a little liar. You say you were born in London, but this isn't true. I know for a fact that you were born on Blackpatch, outside Smithick, in the gypsy caravan of Queen Centinnia. And he says he overheard the conversation one night when he was pretending he was a child. He was about the same age as my father, and said he overheard the conversation of how his mother had come to give birth to him there in that caravan one night when he was pretending to be asleep, and his aunt and his mother were talking about it. And he goes on to say he's not trying to blackmail him. He just wants to tell him, and talks about himself, and so. My father had always told us that we were part gypsy. He said, you have gypsy blood. His father was half gypsy, and on his mother's side, his mother was half gypsy too. His mother's mother was gypsy, and she was from Ireland. Mary Ann Hodges Smith. And another name. Like gypsies always have several names because they go from one place to the other, and they change their names because often they're in trouble, and so she had several names, and she had a very special life. She had a lot of husbands, and the little he writes about her is quite extraordinary. But anyway, he'd always told us that we were part gypsy, but I never took it all that seriously. But then this letter seemed so strange that he would keep. Why was he keeping that letter locked away in a drawer? Because he had
that's weird.
Yes, he had loads of fan letters, which he'd read, and sometimes he'd share with us some funny letter, or a lot of crackpot letters and a lot of very interesting letters. But he never kept them. They were filed away somewhere. But this letter was put in a drawer and shut away. And so I was speaking to a man who'd come to look at the archives in Switzerland of my father, and I told him about this letter, and he was very interested. And so he actually traced this man, Jack Hill, and found an address where he'd lived. But of course he was dead. But then he managed to find his daughter, who was 90, I think she's 95, was still alive. And so I went to talk to her, and then I talked to a man who'd done a whole study of Black Patch, which is where it was one of the largest caravan sites for gypsies in England, and it was dismantled in 1910 because it was getting out of hand. But it was called Black Patch because the gypsies would build fires everywhere. So there was loads of the whole. It was a huge sort of wasteland in Smithwick, outside Birmingham, a very industrial town, and this was just this big wasteland where gypsies would come. And it turns out that there was always that rumor on because amongst the gypsies who were descendants of people who had lived there was always that rumor that my father had been born there. And this man who'd done a study on the whole, written a book on the whole place, said he'd heard that rumor from several different sources, but he never looked into it. So this letter from Jack Hill was very interesting, and we've done a lot of research, and now we've come up with we found some very interesting stuff that we still have to verify, but it seems more and more that there's a very strong possibility that this letter, everything in the letter, does actually verify. So we're doing a documentary film about this, talking to a lot of gypsies, and also I'm doing it because I'm very interested in gypsies anyway. I have a few gypsy friends, and they've always told me, your father, you can see in his films, he's always got the police after him. He's always running away from the police. He says he says only a gypsy could have made a film like that,
That is funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's a riot. So, do you think he didn't feel proud of being a gypsy, so he wanted to keep that hidden away?
Well, he says in his autobiography, he says that he doesn't talk about his father. I don't think he knew his father was half gypsy. It's his biographer, David Robinson, who found the marriage certificate of his father's father to a woman who's described, whose name is Romany Smith. Now, the gypsies took the name Smith to try and integrate into, because the gypsies had a very hard time in England. When they started coming into England, it was during the reign of Henry VIII, when they started moving into England, and at the time of Henry VIII, there was a decree passed that anyone who killed a gypsy would not be prosecuted as long as he could prove it.
Really?
Oh my God! So they were really pretty vilified, huh?
So they were vilified, and they really went underground. They didn't. It's not like in Spain where the gypsies contributed so much to the culture. There was flamenco music, and they really, or in Eastern Europe where in Hungary and Romania, where they really have they have their own folklore and music, and are very, very, very present and visible. In England, they were. I mean, that decree was only repealed in 1700 and something. So it for several hundred years, anyone who wanted to kill a gypsy could kill them.
Wow!
As long as he could show that they were gypsies, and no, they wouldn't be bothered by. It wouldn't go any further than that.
So they were pretty low in the totem pole. So it sounds like your father, whatever he knew about his background, it was not something that he was comfortable revealing, and I can understand why. I mean, since there could be.
Yes, he says in his autobiography that it was a skeleton in the cupboard.
Mm.
And when
but it sounds like you're intrigued. It sounds like you're like, wow, this is really kind of cool. I want to know more. So.
Yes. So we found some very. I mean, I can't really talk about it now because we haven't put everything together. But it seems that there is a real likelihood that it's very hard to find to look up things about gypsies because they are never written down. They're never. They don't register. My father was never registered. His birth has never been registered.
Oh,
That's one of the things that. Yes. No. There's no. Even at one point, because of his political activities, they MI5, the Secret Service in Great Britain, were asked to do some to investigate him once he'd come back to Europe. And one of the things, because now they've published after 50 years the files are opened up, and anyone can have access to them. Oh yes,
freedom of information and all that.
Yes. And so they invested, and they said, well, politically he doesn't seem to be, to be doing anything much. There's no evidence that he's in any way doing anything politically. But one of the strange things we found out is that there's no record of his birth anywhere. And
wow.
And so he was never registered, which is very gypsy again.
It is
because they didn't register they didn't want to be on paper somewhere, so they didn't register the births at all.
Now there's another question in the chat room, and it's funny you just mentioned that there's very little written down about this because somebody just wrote, "Can you recommend a good book for information about gypsy culture?" Is there a book? Maybe not.
Well, there's a very good book in English. Now I haven't got the name of the writer in my head, but it's a beautiful book. It's called "Bury Me Standing," I think.
Okay.
"Bury Me Standing" by and it's a wonderful book by a lady who herself also was part gypsy, and she went into Eastern Europe. She's done a lot of investigation into gypsy life and in various parts of Eastern Europe, and it is a very well written book.
It's funny too, and this is great. So now we have an answer for our person in the chat room, and thank you for that. It's fascinating because you come from a family where your father kind of reinvented himself. He came from this gypsy background that whether he knew about it in total or not is still a little unclear, but he totally reinvented himself. You did the same thing, but in a different way. It wasn't because you were trying to cover anything up. It was because you were looking for answers. And you were looking for a deeper and more profound and powerful experience of life. And so it's very fascinating to me. I just see through the genealogy of your family that you have kind of a tradition here of reinvention. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm like, wow, not only do you have this colorful background, and then you took off at the age of 16 to go to London by yourself and enrolled in the academy there, and then decided that wasn't for you, and then you went on, got married, had children, got married again, had more children, took a turn at writing a book early on, and now you have this masterpiece. But you're also a producer. You also did appear in films as an actor. I mean, you had a really incredible life yourself. And I always get the feeling when I'm talking to you, Michael, that you're so humble. And you're such
no. I'm very big. I'm very big-headed.
You have a big ego. Well, I can't tell by talking to you. Can you tell that, Helene?
Not at all.
Not at all.
My wife says she hopes that the book won't be too much of a success because she says you'll be impossible. You'll be so big-headed. You'll be unlivable. So.
Oh no, well
not true. Tell her it's not
always
true.
have that perspective. I have the same perspective. I'm sure Helene does too. But with our husbands, but still, it's you have had an amazing, and you're still having an amazing life. And again, this book, I just can't recommend it highly enough. It is a great book, A Fallen God. The audience can go and get it on Amazon.com. It's in Kindle, and you can just, sit there and read it. And I'm telling you what, it is like the finest wine or the best gourmet meal. This book is tremendous, and you will get a lot of wisdom. Michael's wisdom, which I happen to agree with. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom in your book, Michael, and it's great. It's a great experience to read it.
Well, imagine, really, Michael, what you've done is shared your journey with everybody. And everybody is going to find a piece of themselves inside of that, because I think that all of our experiences are very connected. And even though they might not be exactly the same, you actually had the courage to go out there and really do it. And I think everybody will find something to learn there.
That's true.
Well, I had a very good friend who's considerably older than me. His name was Henry Hirsch, and he worked in the theatre. We knew each other in London, and he sort of my attempts at writing. He tried to help me when I was much younger and trying to write books, and it always seemed to fall a bit flat. And one day he said to me, Michael, you'll never be a writer until you're able to put yourself down on the page. You're just trying to be clever, but there's nothing of you really down there that you can feel onto the page. And until you do that, until you have the courage to put yourself onto the page, you won't be able to write anything of any interest. And by that time, I'd more or less given up the idea, and it was only years later. But when I started writing, I had that echoing in me, so I realized that, the first thing when you want to write, I think it is to be absolutely honest and not to hide anything, because otherwise the book will not be really, it will not be interesting. You have to really strip down.
It comes from the depth of your soul, right, Michael? I mean, it's your actual experience and your actual feeling, especially around the experience.
Yes.
And I think that's absolutely the best advice. I mean, it is true. You have to really be able to pour your guts out onto the page, and it has to be, filled with the energy of passion, and it has to come alive on that page. And that's what happens in A Fallen God. That is exactly what happens. It comes right alive, right in front of you as you're reading it.
Well, thank you very much for all those kind words.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And we've got a couple more callers here, Helene. Should we take them?
Well, Renee, we already spoke to her.
Let's talk to Hugh for a couple of seconds here before we have to go to another break or something.
Okay, hold on. Hugh, you're live on the air.
Hi, good evening. What a wonderful program, and thank you so much, Michael, for sharing your story. It's people helping people for our future, and doing it from a place of unconditional love. I'm in the same age frame as you, and I've had a lot of parallel experiences too. I wanted to just ask you quickly if you could comment on two things. I love that you mentioned nature. I call that God's classroom. And the synchronicities. I find synchronicities that I wasn't aware of even looking in my past that are quite bizarre and amazing to me, and help me in some ways make some important choices at critical time. So, and the synchronicities I have in nature are just absolutely wonderful and really bring me to new heights of awareness. And I just wondered if you could touch on that. Thank you.
Well, yes, synchronicity is. I think it's happening all the time, but we just don't we don't always notice it. But when it does happen, and you do notice it, then I think personally, it's always a moment. It's something is telling you to pay attention, to not sleep through that moment, but to be as awake as you can, because something is happening right then, and that's the way I take it, as a call to really be alert to what's going on around you. And,
very true. I'd like to share one quick little one that ties in with nature. I'm a senior citizen in an independent apartment building, which I walk around for exercise. I multitask. I pray while I walk, and I reward myself at the end, and just a bench and enjoy looking at the beautiful flowers, the trees, listening to the birds. And out of nowhere, last summer, a butterfly came and landed 3 feet in front of me. It was brown with orange and white markings on it, and it stayed there for about 20 minutes, periodically opening and closing its wings. I was trying to determine who's going to leave first, me or the butterfly. The butterfly did move another 3 feet and landed on top of a dandelion and opened its wings and left them open. Then I started getting a message that when we have a bump in the road or things are rough, we tend to go into a shell or close up. And if we will just do what the butterfly did, open up and let go and let God when we can't handle things, how beautiful life can be. When I got up to walk away, I noticed my Bermuda shorts were brown with orange and white markings, the same colors as the butterfly.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's a beautiful story.
It is.
Wonderful, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for the call,
life
Hugh.
In those moments can be extraordinary.
Yes, I asked the screener if they could, because I don't use email, if they would provide you with my name and a couple of words. I think you'll find the documentation. Again, a lot of parallel things talking about it. Quite interesting, and thank you so much again for putting this story out there at this time. People need it.
Thank you, Hugh, for the call. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Hugh.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. God bless.
God bless.
What a nice story that was.
Beautiful.
Wonderful story, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And also, Helene, I wanted to let you know that Renee is calling back because she wants a Destiny card. So
she does. Okay. Well, thank you. All right. Renee, you're live on the air again. Thank you for staying with us.
Oh, no, we've got Hugh on the air again.
Hugh. Oh, sorry, Hugh.
We couldn't get enough of Hugh.
Well, he's awesome. Okay. Now I think I've got Renee. Sorry about that, Renee. You're live on the air.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking my call. I would love to have a card, and also I can't wait to get the book, so love this discussion.
Oh,
Thank
right.
you.
Excellent. Okay, Helene, you want to go first this time?
Okay. Let me find a... Well, I think this has to do with the situation in your life right now. I don't think this is really you, Renee. But you got the number 20 card, which is Judgment.
Oh.
And I think that for you, that means that you have gone through life judging each situation as it comes along and making a clear-minded decision based on what you learned. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes this card can be a little bit on the negative side, but that's not how I'm picking it up for you. I actually feel that Judgment has kind of led you through your life. And so that's a great thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the next card of what you can move into, big things for you. When you get out of the judgment space, you can really tap into the universal mind pretty easily. So letting go of that judgment for you is critical to find your true destiny.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you so much. Oh, my gosh. I'm so
You're
blessed.
welcome.
Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Renee.
We have such a great audience, don't we, Patricia?
You know, we are blessed, and this is what I was saying to you, Michael, earlier, that we do have a wonderful audience. They always ask really good questions and contribute to the conversation, and we can't be more thankful to have the people that we have in our chat room and calling on the phone, and they're so patient to wait as long as they do to ask their question, and it's a great experience.
Absolutely, yes.
Mm. So now that you've finished the book, Michael, what's next for you? Are you ready to move into a new book?
Well, I hope so. I hope it will. For the moment, I'm feeling a bit empty. But I've got this project with the gypsies, which is a lighter project, and one that I think will be a lot of fun. I've already met some great musicians, guitarists, and we've talked to a gypsy filmmaker who's quite an extraordinary character. He works in France, and we're going to go out and speak to a lot of gypsies and do more investigation into the background of this letter. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It will take us back to England and to Ireland and to Les Saintes Maries de la Mer, which is where Sarah is in a chapel there. I've already been there many times, and where they have a great gypsy gathering where they carry her out into the ocean. It's quite beautiful. I think it's on the 25th of May. They do it every year. Yes, the thing about gypsies coming from Egypt, well, that's why that comes from they were thought to come from Egypt, and certainly a lot did come into Europe from Egypt. But originally, the gypsies were a tribe that left India for unknown reasons, but from the Punjabi area of India, and went into Persia and stayed a long time in Persia, and slowly then made their way into Eastern Europe and down into Egypt, and then across North Africa and up into Spain, and others from Russia and down into Germany and down into France. So they came from many directions, but the point of departure is from the research that's been done that I've read about, started in India.
That's fascinating. I had no idea of that.
My goodness.
Yeah. We have another caller on the line.
We do.
Yeah. And guess what her name is?
It must be Helene.
We welcome Helene from New York, which is not myself. It's another Helene. Hello, Helene.
Hello, Helene.
Hello.
Hello.
You're live on the air, Helene.
Hi. Oh, I just wanted a Destiny card, although I feel very honored to be speaking or on the same line with Charlie Chaplin's son. That's amazing.
No, well, thank you.
He's amazing. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Patricia. Find a card for Helene.
Is that what you'd like, Helene, as a card?
Yes, please.
All right. Well, let's see what's going on here for your destiny.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start it, and then, Helene, you're going to finish it. You bring logic to every situation, would you say?
Yes and no. I'm kind of out there, and sometimes my logic gets in my way, I think.
Well, it may get in your way, but it's also a gift. And that is something that maybe you need to honor. There is something about the way you can ground and look at stuff in a logical manner that is a gift for you. And it's part of your destiny.
Okay.
So it's not a bad thing.
All right. Thank you.
Well, the destiny card I got for you, Helene, is actually the Chariot, which is a great card of movement, of meeting new situations, of changing your course, and being driven each time you change it. So, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I've been accused of being driven.
But it's sort of about a lot of different lives in this life. In other words, you know, it seems like you go through these phases in life where your life changes completely and now you're in another life. And so the logic that Patricia was talking about sometimes gets lost with you, but it's definitely there as a gift, as she said.
Uh-huh.
But the destiny part of constantly changing your perspective and changing where you live even and the people in your lives, it's just there for you. That was your mission here since you've been here. Yeah.
Yeah, I do make a lot of changes. Well, I haven't made a move change in a long time, and it definitely feels like I should, but that's another story. And I'm a Cancer, which I know the Chariot card is the card for Cancer, sun sign Cancer.
Yeah, interesting. But it just feels so palpable, as though you've had many lives inside of this lifetime.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of changes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Helene. I appreciate your call.
Yeah, thanks, Helene.
Thank you, Helene. Thank you.
Stay tuned.
I will.
That was fun.
Yeah, this is great fun.
Well, Michael, you've just shed so much light on your personal journey, and I think that's so important for others to find aspects of themselves in each one of us, really. And I hope that everybody goes to Amazon.com to order your book on Kindle, A Fallen God. And just a fascinating read, and one that somebody won't want to put down. You know, we hate when these great books end, right, Patricia?
I did. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier, and I mean this, Michael. You better get writing again, because this book was just tremendous, and I would love to read more from you.
Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to try and write another book, definitely.
Well, I think it's great because, I mean, again, there's just so much in the book. It's rich. It's just a very rich experience reading your book, and it took so much away from it, so much depth there. So I'm glad you stuck with it. In 8 years, that's quite a long time to commit to a project like this, but I'm really grateful that you did.
And
yes,
I
had to learn on the way. It was really, I had to learn a lot of things, how to write a novel and how to, because I've never really been schooled in the art of writing. So I had a lot of things to learn. I had to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. I realized that that's the way it comes, through just working over and over and over again. And
that's
so
true.
Why it took quite a long time to do.
Well, we are very honored that you're up in the middle of the night just to talk to us and our beautiful audience, and we sincerely appreciate that, Michael.
Thank you so much.
It's been a wonderful experience for me as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, we hope you'll come back to talk about your film that's upcoming, and also any other books that you write or any other topics that you'd like to bring to our wonderful audience, because this has been so enlightening to have you here with us tonight.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Well,
I hope I can talk to you sometime again as well.
Oh, we will.
We're going to plan on that, definitely.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, and I hope you can get back to sleep, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I'm wide awake now. But,
no.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
we'll
many
be in touch
blessings
soon.
to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael. That was lovely. What a wonderful interview, really.
He's just a great guest and a tremendously talented man. I don't think he even knows how talented he is, the way he talks about his life. But don't you think?
Well, I think a lot of people take 8 years to write a book, don't they, Patricia?
Yes, I think so. We won't go into any detail about that.
We won't, but I think that it's, people who really stick with it for that long, it's just amazing. And look at the masterpiece that came out of all his effort,
I know, and it is a masterpiece. I hope everybody goes out and gets a copy of this book on Kindle. It is excellent. It really is.
So next week,
you know who we have on the show. It is going to be amazing. We have Lon Duquette, world-renowned occult expert, and he's just another great guest. Very funny.
Oh,
great
he's
sense
so
of humor.
entertaining.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And he has a wealth of knowledge about all things occult, and we are going to be talking to him about one of your favorite subjects, angels, and then your least favorite subject, demons.
Well, unfortunately, we have to deal with everything, so that's the way it is. But I think Lon will also be taking caller questions, right?
He's going to take caller questions, and yes, he is the man when it comes to occult knowledge. So everybody who has questions about angels, demons, Enochian. In fact, I'm going to ask him to do an Enochian angelic call on the air. He did that for us once before, and it just blew everybody's mind. So I'm going to ask him to do that one again.
Beautiful. That'll be perfect, because the energy that comes out of that is just, it just touches anybody who's listening. Yeah.
Just listening to this man chant those Enochian sounds, those calls, it is transformative. Everybody's going to have a wonderful experience with him. So bring all your questions about angels and demons for next week. It's going to be a very exciting show.
It is, and we have to remind people once again to sign up at supernaturalgirls.com, because we're giving away all those beautiful books from Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
That's right.
And your name has to be on the list to be entered into the contest.
It absolutely does, and I want to apologize to all the callers we just didn't get to tonight. We had so many people in the chat room that we were trying to get to with lots of great questions, and people that were on our phone lines. And again, apologies for the echo and the dropped calls, because Blog Talk's having a bit of an issue. But thank you for your patience, everybody, and thank you for staying tuned through all of that. We were able to broadcast tonight, so that was good.
That was good. That was good. I was wondering at the beginning, but it turned out all right, Patricia.
Yes,
so I
it
guess
did.
It's time to say good night.
I know. I don't want to, though. I'm having too much fun. Well, anyways, okay.
It is. 2 hours flies by in like 10 minutes. It's amazing.
I know. Well, thanks again to everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Michael Chaplin, for being another wonderful guest on Supernatural Girls. And good night, Helene.
Good night, Patricia.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural